lemongrass and some turmeric powder. Like it really rounds out the flavor. No.
To crack cocaine.
No,
Excuse
Your
me.
life?
Yeah. What? Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Hi guys.
He did it on purpose.
Yeah. Anyway, I got a guy in Venezuela that I can talk to, but we can.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Hi guys. Hello. Welcome to Arcane Arcade. I am not Jacob Buds. Welcome to this Sunder Q&A. There's Jacob Buds. I'm Jack O'Leary. I am going to be your Master of Ceremonies, moderator, and daddy for the evening.
Yes! For the evening?
Alright.
Only for the evening.
Well,
You guys
Where's the opt-out button?
we
Where's
gotta
the opt-out
negotiate the
button?
contract. Oh, hey, shout out really quick to Vault Dweller 604 for the $50 donation.
Holy shit!
Damn!
Big
We
spender.
will answer your questions as soon as we get to it. So yeah, you guys have been awesome in getting us a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions in the Discord, quite a few questions in the chat. I'm going to do my best to kind of hop between and just make sure that everything that you want to know. My iPad volume is on.
We're just
already
echoing.
loaded.
I'm just like, I won't be able to do anything about
But yeah, I'm gonna do my best to just make sure all your questions are answered. But first, why don't we introduce our lovely players here and occasional player. Anyways, we've got
Horrible.
Grace here who plays Kyria.
Why am I first?
Because
You're on the right.
because you're my in-game girlfriend.
Yeah, that's.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
That's a different game.
Spencer,
Yeah.
player of Vincent.
Yeah.
We've got Tyler,
Grace's
who plays
in-game boyfriend.
Atlantica. And then Jacob Buds, who plays everybody else.
Other than class.
I
Other
don't
than
play that
class, and other than
Unfortunately,
other
We
people.
would be playing a normal game today, but Colton is in Canada, the loser. So we're just doing a little Q&A today. So
Colton, if you're in the chat, I
sit
miss you.
back, have some fun. And also, Jack's moderating. So if you want to at him on the Discord for any questions, or drop him down in the chat, then go for it.
Yeah, I will do my best to cater to you. Hi, Mario Sack. Thanks for the $2 donation. Okay. Anyways.
Also, yes, before we started the stream, I was trying to figure out what was going on with the sound. We were going to start at 6, and then I had to go get the other sound input thing from Logan's house, and I came all the way back here, and I just found out that I didn't unpush the mute button.
Unpush?
Unpush. You know when you unpush something?
Because it was pushed on.
You have to, like, pull it.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do that. I just had to click a button.
Wow.
Anyways,
That's alternate
sorry,
reality
Jack.
technology.
So anyways, if you guys have any questions that come up during the stream, feel free to. I'm gonna do my best with this YouTube chat, but I think Discord might work a little better. So if you have any questions,
description. There's a link. To the
yeah,
Discord
there's a link in the description to the Discord. Just post it in Sunder at me at Owl Lang Syne or at Mighty Owl. I changed it for the new year. But anyways, so let's get started. So this question was asked a little later in the thing, but a lot of people wanted it answered, and by a lot of people I mean like 2. So
a lot of people.
That's a lot of guys.
This is for Jacob, but I think all of you can answer it. The question is, where the hell is the Mushroom Boy?
Oh my
Tenevu.
God!
That's it.
Oh!
So
That's a good question.
If you
Secret
care to
lore,
elaborate
secret
on that.
lore, secret lore.
Okay, Tenevu went on to live his own life, his own little story. Who knows where that guy is?
Do you want to hear my theory?
If for those of you that don't know Tenevu, do you two know about Tenevu?
I know about her.
All right,
because
so
I was there when they found her.
So when Tim played in the game, and this first character was Fee, she had gotten a magic talking myconid mushroom from the dwarven city of Bogdurum, and then held on to it for a while, and like they like taught it words, and it learned how to speak, and mostly it was like fuck.
We killed a man in front of him.
no.
And kill and murder and hide the body. They
Roll
knew
them
a lot of
into a
those words. And eventually, when Tim left the campaign with Fee, Tenevu also broke out of his pot and became this giant ripped mushroom man and went on to his own adventures. I like to think that Tenevu is probably running a small group of myconid like fitness like a fitness program.
Like they have their own gym
in the
somewhere.
Underdark. He probably spent a long time getting back underground because that's what he likes. He's an Underdark mushroom, not a Overdark mushroom.
Does he-
Overdark mushroom. Yeah.
Overdark.
An Overdark. So he's probably down there. He's definitely still alive. Probably completely unaware to the Devil's conflict.
That's
and
good.
has a group of maybe a couple of other myconids who are all really buff, and occasionally they just kind of run through the
I
caves.
want to get games.
So,
does
you just if you're ever wandering through the caves in the deep Underdark of Sunder, you may occasionally hear thump, 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 and then a bunch of buff myconid men just just running by. That's probably what they're
In
doing.
my head, they all look like the male Wii Fit trainer.
They
love that.
probably do look
Yeah.
like that.
With
Tenebris
like,
probably
with like a
huge.
toad hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the toad hat. That's exactly it. Probably, but we never confirmed it, and you don't have to take my word as merit. Whatever you think Tenebu is doing,
Hey.
probably also canon.
Hey.
It's a big multiverse out there.
Moose, get down!
he's
Oh no!
Yeah.
I think
This
he's
is
so
live,
stealthy.
Moose.
What did you think happened? to Tenebu?
He's the king of Zarakis.
Oh,
Yes.
an entire country.
Yes.
Is this his?
Yes.
She leaned into the microphone like it's a conspiracy theory.
If you follow
I'm
the
gonna
trail.
get down on some music. Here.
Yeah.
Oh, don't play Post Malone. I don't want to be.
The freaking demonetized police will come after us.
My parents are just like, ew, Post
Cool.
Malone. And I'm just like,
Um,
let people live their lives. Let them have tattoos, parents. And they're like, he looks so unclean. I'm just like,
Shut up. He's my baby.
it's
I
because
love
the
him.
tattoos, and they're like, he's gonna regret that. Like,
we've got a couple of gear questions from Timo Wins.
Oh.
First one's for Jacob. Jacob, how do you feel about clockwork amulets? Xanathar's Guide, page 137. And
Thank
do
you
you
for
feel they
citing
require
your
attunement?
work.
You got freaking receipts out here.
There we go.
I don't.
Is that
Do
the
we have
Xanathar?
Xanathar's here?
Yeah, there it is.
I think that's the item that like at certain points you roll, like if you roll a d20, you can change out the roll for like a 10. Like it's like
Oh,
it's
taking
a
10.
like
Yeah,
a method.
yeah.
I
You're
don't really
right.
know a whole lot of the uncommon items.
So it's like a taking it.
Yeah, it's like a taken out.
When you
taken
make an
average.
attack roll
Yeah.
while wearing this amulet, you can forego rolling the d20 to get a 10 on the die. And you can't use it until the next dawn.
So what's per day you get a 10?
Yeah.
And it requires.
Yeah,
Does it
I'm
require attunement?
Close the book, Jack.
Sorry,
Prob-
it's part of the
prob-
question. I'm
probably.
just trying to give
You
Timo
want that?
Wins. I'm just trying to give Timo Wins what he wants.
I can make
or what
it
they want.
have a 22.
What do you guys think about it?
I mean, it's a.
I believe it does not require attunement.
I'd say that it shouldn't. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
only getting 110 out of like.
It's an average roll.
Yeah.
You're
No,
just
You'd just be
Once
adding
every
your
day.
bonuses, and obviously you'd gain
But
more
again, I'm
when you're
shouldn't be
higher
answering
level.
The questions. It's your guys'.
No, I want you guys to
Is
answer.
it taking a 10 on the dice roll plus the things?
I
Or
Well,
believe
you,
it
it's,
is, yeah.
you treat the d20 roll as a 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to assume it's plus your.
So
bonus.
eventually you have like what, a
There's
plus
already so
13
many
to whatever.
class- The problem with that one for me is that it's an item. I like those things being like a class or race specific ability. I
Yeah.
like Halfling Lucky. I also
Yeah.
like the Lucky Feet, and I also really like the Portent. And those are like inherent abilities that those classes get. But I have an amulet. Like, describe to me how that works. It doesn't really affect your character in any way, you know. But the
Yeah.
Portent, I guess, is the same. But it's like you see the future and you like know what's going on. But this is just an amulet. It feels like a lazy
I don't know,
magic
you
item.
could
It's
say
just
that
like,
it's-
Yeah.
we need something that'll affect a dice roll. It's a clockwork
I
amulet.
mean, in like your lore, you could come up with a reason on why.
Sure, you could.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I'm a
it's
bit-
definitely not overpowered. I don't think, especially because I give you guys fucking cards that have bonuses on them at
Yeah.
the beginning of the game. You're basically just getting one of those.
And honestly, the bonuses with in terms of the statistics of cards, you're more than likely not going to get a 10.
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
Because it's more face cards than.
we did for a while though because we were using decks
Jacob
that
was
had
using
more,
the wrong
more
deck.
tens.
Oh
than
my
anything,
God.
which is why I bought a new deck and everybody's like, "Oh, only a 3," and I'm like, "That's how it's supposed to work."
Even so,
Yeah. I like that
what's happening.
inspiration system. It's
Yeah,
really
it's,
cool.
I didn't think it would be very fun, but it ended up being really, really
Well,
fun.
it adds like that chance element, you know.
Yeah,
it's
I like that more
like
than just
rolling
being
the
like,
die,
I don't
you know?
like that roll. Can I use my inspiration to re-roll? It's like, that's boring. I'd rather be like, oh, we really need to win this. And everyboly's putting down
Yeah, and
cards.
it's also is it worth it for?
Exactly, because you only get the one.
You only get the one that I like about it a lot is it's a physical object too, not just it's in your. You have to remember to.
Yeah,
it's
that's
there,
there.
and you're like,
Physical
should I use
reminder.
it or should I not? And
Yeah.
more often than not, you're gonna have
Right.
to. You think about using it because you're not gonna lose
I
it.
would love D&D to
Anyway.
just be like all cards. Like, I love the magics on the spells on the cards, and
Spell
also
cards,
like the deck of many like animated cards. But like, I would love to have my character sheet be in cards too, because
Yeah.
it's all physical. I'd be
That's-
like, eh.
That'd
That's
be
what I
really
do
cool.
for my kids. I
City
give
of
them
Mist.
all of their
It's
abilities and
exactly like
stuff
City of
on
Mist.
cards.
Yeah. The Essentials kit does that.
Yeah, even like I take like index cards and write like, you have this because you're a changeling. Here you go.
That's why
They took that
also-
ability away from
City of
changelings.
Mist
So.
does that. It's really enjoyable just to have like all in it little cards. But we got it.
You
Yeah.
may want to
we're
open up
into it.
Xanathar's Guides again because the two other questions are about
Oh.
items in Xanathar's Guide.
Oh my
Page
God.
Page 137 again. So I think this one's for you, Spencer.
Oh.
Is it assumed that Vincent's spellbook is an enduring spellbook?
Probably should be.
Has it survived a lot of wear and tear?
Underwater.
Underwater a lot.
I always
We-
that's lame to me. Like I always assumed that like it's a magic book. Like
I-
it shouldn't fall apart as soon as it meets water. You know?
we said that he laminated it. Yeah. He went
There's
to,
your answer, Tina.
I always thought too that like almost all wizards are going to take their spell books and put them in some sort of like safe container anyways.
Yeah.
And that's just one of those things. It's like, so I'm one of those dungeon masters that likes variant encumbrance. I understand why people don't like it, but I'm one of those dungeon masters like, you got to forage, you have variant encumbrance, you need to tell me what you're going to do because I will react to your decisions. But then there's some things that are just so ridiculously dumb, like, oh, I forgot to pick up my arrow a while ago and I wanted to go get it, and I'm like, you just.
It's also
it.
you're spending.
Or, you're gonna do an adventure underwater. You can't cast spells anymore because you didn't get an enduring spell. But
You're already spending so much on paper and ink that it specifies is magical. So I
can see
assume
how that
it
could be
just
an interesting
retains
thing, but you would need to set it up from the beginning.
Yeah.
At the game one, you need to be like, we're going to keep track of how like your spellbook's gonna have AC and hit points.
Liam
And-
O'Brien does it. He always specifies that he wraps his spell book in something and then puts it in a bag and then another bag.
That's yeah. I think that can be interesting so long as it's from the beginning of the campaign.
Yeah.
If I can't just spring that in the middle of the game.
Yeah,
and
it's
be
like, oh, by the way.
Oh, by the way, all your pages are wet.
They're soggy.
We got a question for Kyria
boy.
next. Would Kyria consider buying Vincent a tankard of sobriety, page 139?
Oh my god!
Please no. Please no.
I know what it does.
No.
It is a tankard that whenever you put alcohol into it, it makes it so
Oh,
that
no.
you cannot become drunk while you drink it.
Oh no.
I know this because I
that's-
made a character recently who made the opposite of the tankard. It is a tankard of
Tankard of drunkenness?
yeah, and it doubles the alcohol.
I want that.
Wow.
I want that
The
one.
thing I think is Vincent likes the drunken state, not just the alcohol.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But would Kyria buy
My
it for
poor
him?
liver.
No. It's more of
That's a waste of money.
less restoration.
No, yeah, there you go.
But I mean, if Vincent mentioned, oh yeah, you know, it's like habit he wanted to kick, then yes, but that's his choice. So
Great. All right. Next question is from Lord Ariados.
I'm gonna keep
Great
this.
Pokemon. Love me some Ariados. This one's for all of you.
not everyone.
And well, I guess it kind of applies to Jacob, but it's mostly for the players. What surprised you the most about your character that you've kind of like encountered by playing them? I think. Like, what have you enjoyed? And I guess you can say like what you've enjoyed about each of their.
Oh, so much.
Do you want to start then?
So much. Do you guys want to go or do you want me to go?
You know,
You should do it.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of a moment.
Well, you guys have surprised me a lot. You always do with your characters because I think I know them and then I don't. But that's the thing is that's the kind of dungeon masters I want to know your characters really badly. Otherwise, who fucking cares? But one moment that surprised me a lot actually was very recently. I was talking to you about it, and I don't think about this in any negative way whatsoever. It just really surprised me. It showed me how human you guys play your characters, especially you two in class, after you had left Atlantica behind. And of course, to everybody, spoilers if you're not caught up with Sunder.
Oops.
Anyways, when you had left Atlantica behind, because I thought you would use the necklace of plane shift, I thought you guys would at least try something to get Atlantica out of there. But you guys were like, nope, leave her behind, then we just head out. I was like, whoa! And I was thinking about it, and I was like, but realistically, you guys were in a situation where you couldn't do anything. Like you thought that you would just all die if you did teleport. So we have to leave our friend behind, and it was one of those moments of like, you guys are the heroes. You guys are defeating devils, and you're saving all these people. Oh, you're in a really bad state right now. We're not going to be heroes. We have to escape. And I was just like, dang, that was a really real moment, and that really surprised me.
Bro, get off the table.
And that goes for everybody. The one thing that has surprised me the most about everybody in Sunder, the Wanted Wanderers, is how they aren't heroes.
Is that your guys' like official group name, the Wanted
Wanted Wanderers?
Wanderers?
Yes.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
I was so baffled by the decisions you guys have made and just the fact that you're trying your best, but you're in no way attempting to be like saviors. You're just like, well, we gotta do it. And we're gonna try it. And if we fuck up, then oh well. And it's like, that's so cool. I like that. That's really interesting.
That's really awesome. It makes for a really good story. It makes, I feel like so much of fantasy, is like so black and white.
Yep.
Like, like good guys versus bad guys. We're the heroes and we're fighting the devils, But
It's crazy because like Colton's character Claz is the one that is always like jumping into head first into situations, and then constantly being scolded by Kyria, who's just like, stop doing that. And
Yeah.
and then he's like, but if we wouldn't have done that, then this wouldn't have happened. And Kyria's like, yeah, but then you would have died. And then later on, he does die. And then he came back.
Right.
And then, like, it's like, it just plays really
Yeah.
well. Like, it's hilarious.
Hey
You guys are
Tyler,
going
what's
against the
something
trope.
that you've discovered about Atlantica that
Yep.
you really enjoy?
It's really hard to say because there's a lot of little things. Because when I make a character, so when I originally made Atlantica, I wasn't sure how I was even going to play her.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the character is a discovery process of what their personality is like as I play it and kind of get into her and her backstory and her thought process. I guess one just general thing that kind of surprised me when I was playing her is how many bad decisions she gets herself into. She makes so many stupid decisions, but also at the same time they somehow work half the time.
my favorite.
Which is
Yeah.
great.
That's just like D&D though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly.
Of course. But
Some characters are better than others.
but I'm comparing her to Fenhella. Fenhella wouldn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
done.
No.
Nor would Lilia. Atlantica would, because
And that's why I like Atlantica so
yeah.
So I can be like, make a wisdom save, and you're like, dude, come on. Stop.
Wisdom,
your mind is
the
mine.
best dump stat.
Yes!
The best dump stat.
Yes, it's so fun.
Strike.
I just always got curious.
No one
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just in general learning about the character. It's just an interesting process.
Yeah,
'cause
absolutely.
Especially for some, I think with a lot of us, what we went in with some of these characters is not what they're.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
that's-
You know, the
yeah.
effect, the events of the story and the world around them and their effects on the world around
Yeah.
them change them.
It-
and
Yes.
that's what
It takes a while for you
awesome.
to discover the character,
Mhm,
become
absolutely.
the character.
Absolutely.
So.
What about
This is
Vincent?
exactly what you're saying. How much this character has changed. Like when I first started making this character or making Vincent, it was like 6 months before we even started the game, and I was like, so it's this, and like he's like disguising himself, and like this is what's gonna happen, and I was like, I don't even want anyone to know that he's Vincent until the game is over. Like that's how dedicated I was to the secret. And then like I don't know, it was like 13 or so games in, and I was like, you know what, it doesn't matter anymore. And just like how much you've been able to like change my character, because like
Well, you were. I still stand by the sex, like the idea that Viola was almost a different person
Yeah.
than Vincent.
yeah,
And so when you started playing Vincent, it was like a whole discovery of like who he actually was. It was just really interesting because Viola was like a mask, and
Yeah,
so it was
I've
just
always
Vincent
said that.
like heightened all the way up here while hiding everything else. And then once he was Vincent, it was just like, well, here's who I really am. And it's like that's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Like me, guys.
Yeah. and the funny part about that was he kind of wasn't a good person. I really enjoyed
That's true,
that.
that's true.
Like there were so many things about him that were just like, oh no, he's just gonna do this instead.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's understandable, but what the fuck?
bro, that's rude.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And what about Kyria?
For as much as he personally is okay with dying, he doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
That's what surprised me. It's just, oh god.
I really wish they could have the concept of, because Kyria is so fascinating to me just because the person you played last was Ashkari. So, and you guys don't know, Ashkari was a sorcerer bard. She was really, like, she was really
girlfriend.
happy and she just wanted her friends to get along, and she was kind of like Vega a little bit. They've seen a little bit of Vega.
Yeah.
But you went from that to, like, Kyria, and Kyria's just, like, this brooding dude, and I'm just like, I love this so much.
I'm tired all the fucking time.
But he has also turned into like party dad, which I also really like. It's like, class, please stop trying to get yourself killed. And he's like, you can't tell me what to do. I love it.
Yeah.
It's
amazing.
these
You're
two.
not
It's
my
class
dad.
and Atlantica.
Yeah.
This is Silent Hill with continuity
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah. All right. Next question is from Cheapest McGeebus.
Oh wow.
What's up, McGeebus?
Wants to know what
Mr.
everyone's
McGeebus.
first D&D experience was like. And what did you play?
Oh
We
no.
never talked about this. Because have I been there for you two?
I was there for you were. Yes, we were players together in the first campaign.
I dragged them into this.
Yes.
I have a secret past, actually. 6th grade.
Oh,
What?
Yeah.
that we
I
don't
don't know
even know.
about this.
No.
Exactly. That's why I was familiar a little bit with D&D. It was literally like a week thing for like a summer school program, and it was just like an hour we would play. So it was like a little tournament thing. I played a half-elf wizard.
Whoa!
Yeah.
This is the OG over here.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't play in
If
sixth
you were in sixth
grade.
grade, you must have been playing 4th edition. Because 5th edition hadn't
Yeah,
come out
you
by
know,
that
it was
point.
either
Ooh,
3.5 or
man.
4th.
Fellow 4th edition
They were
starter
playing, no,
over
they were
here.
playing AD&D. Chris is like, I know all about THACO and like all of that.
But I don't really count that because it wasn't really story, and it was for like a week, and nothing really happened because it's such a big group.
Sure.
So I still
Yeah.
count Nautilus as like the original. But
What's
Logan's game.
Logan's game
With
was
Fenris.
the
Oh,
Thoriel for me.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll get back to that once he goes.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. I'll try to go fast. I'm talking really long. I have two experiences. One I consider my real experience first playing D&D, and my first being my actual first experience playing D&D. They were around the same time. The first
Yeah.
time I actually played D&D for the first time ever was with me and Logan, and one of our buddies, who you all know that I really don't want to name drop. And he
Not
taught
familiar.
us how to play D&D, and it was not Dungeons and Dragons at all. We were not playing it right. Logan and I were both rangers because he didn't know how magic worked, and we just kind of did stuff. But it was just a concept of like, we want to go here and do this. Okay, roll a d6. Like, we didn't know how it worked. My real first experience playing D&D, I think, was Marshall. We went over to Marshall's apartment back when he lived in his apartments, and Logan and that guy and Caesar and all of them and Colton invited me to come play, and I was like, okay, and I came over and I made a character, and we played 3.5, and I had the iPad app for 3.5 that had
Wow.
the character sheet on it, and it was so goddamn fun. I think it was just really great because I just didn't know how anything worked, and so Marshall like brought up enter caps, and I was like, what are these?
Enter
I had no idea what they were, and Marshall was such a mysterious DM too, and he was very deliberate on everything you did. So we were constantly fucking ourselves over. I'd be like, fog cloud, and he's like, no, nobody can see. And I'm like, why did I do that? You know? So, and I loved that. I loved that was my first experience into D&D. It wasn't just like, everything I'm doing is succeeding. Like, it was like, it was hard, and it didn't work, and it was great. So,
If
I played Crag, the Dwarven Cleric.
Nice.
If I remember correctly, I don't even remember it at all, but wasn't the first time I played D&D was with you as the DM and Mackenzie at Mackenzie's
When we were
dad's
going to
place?
Universal Studios?
Yes.
Oh my god, yes! That
That was the first time I've ever done it. I have no memory of what it
not
was.
Dungeons and Dragons.
No, it wasn't. No.
It was just, let's cooperatively make a story.
Pretty much, but it was close because you had just gotten into D&D at that point.
Yeah.
So you were like, I'm going to try and get you guys into it. So you did it.
I wanted to show you what it was so you guys would play
Yes,
it.
yes.
Because it was fun.
And then the next time I played was Logan was the DM, and we played with Fenris, Airkoff, Thoriel. Was it one more?
What a
Or was
game.
it just three
He
of
who
us?
should not be named, and Mackenzie.
Oh,
Did Mackenzie play?
Mackenzie play. Oh,
Did
Bob?
Kyle play?
no.
No, he was
no,
going
no.
to.
No,
and
he
then
was
the other-
Godfrey. He was Godfrey, I think.
That's
Oh,
right, he was
Godfrey.
Godfrey.
yeah.
He became a villain later.
Yeah.
He became villain in
But
the next
the
campaign.
other guy that you don't want to mention also played, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's who the game was.
That is correct. It was a thing.
You'll
Yeah.
hear
And
multiple
then-
sides to this story because that's a lot of
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we
It's
started
It's one of
with.
those questions
That's-
that's like to understand this story, we have to get into this completely different story.
And
you know?
that big campaign, even though we only played like 4 games in that at most.
We played for a bit. There was a lot of focus on it.
Buddy,
but
get off the
it
A
was
little
more,
bit.
we
It
talked a
didn't
lot
go,
about
yeah, it
this.
didn't go for very long.
Sit down.
But that campaign then
Come on.
became a lot of those NPCs became and a lot of those characters became NPCs in your campaign, which was then the precursors to Immortals, which was the precursor to Sunder.
Yep.
Yep.
Right.
All was in the kind of the same world. So.
Yeah, just kind of weirdly like Marvel Cinematic Universe
Yeah.
to all those games
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
You know, I had fond memories of it, so you know, it was great.
It was the first time playing. Yeah, of course. Like, I wish I could just like delete my memory for like a day and just like not know D&D and play it again and just be like, what's an
Yeah.
owlbear? Like
Yeah.
that was just so fun getting to learn all of that. So
What was your first
My first experience with D&D was coming over. It was like the last day of your senior year, and you were
That
playing a
was-
game for them, and I
That was
was
the first
like,
game of
that was
inconsistencies.
yeah.
we'd
that was
only
the first
been
game of
we'd been dating for like a year, and I was like, this guy's fucking weird. He's a big nerd. And then like probably like 2 months later, you were like, yeah, you're gonna play this, and I was like, okay, yeah. And I played a halfling rogue, and it was in your
Well,
parents-
we were gonna play in that guy's game. And
oh
that
yeah,
guy's game
and that
sucked.
guy was like, I was like, nah, I don't want to do this, and you're like, no,
Gave
it's
it
not
one more
that bad.
chance in
Yeah.
the next week, and we like fully prepped. I went to everybody who played. It was like Tyler, Colton, Logan. I was like, guys, okay, Spencer's gonna play. I really need you guys to like be cool. So
Yeah,
that she learns.
and that was like the first time I'd ever met Colton. I was like, he's too nice. Why are you being nice to me?
And we did that game.
Yeah, now I
Logan
play
played Ladro and fought some sea
Yeah,
hags.
sea
That was
hags,
about
and
it.
I love sea hags.
I don't think I was in the game where you started.
No, maybe you didn't. Maybe
No?
you weren't there.
I don't think I was there.
We were like got on a pirate ship, and we fought sea hags.
Yep.
We
It
left
was-
Leah
I,
and that.
I wasn't in that.
It was
It
like
was
the-
Logan, Marissa, Colton.
It was Marissa. She played
I think it was only
Arona.
those three.
Arona, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like I said,
Yeah.
Greg, Miss Arona.
It was the
There's a block of that inconsistencies that I wasn't a part of.
yeah.
So it was like,
Sorry.
It was
a lot of it
It was
you
the
missed
introduction
out.
of Leonaya.
I felt
Yeah.
so bad about that I was like, I want you involved in all my games now. What was your like? Is that your first
Yeah,
experience?
it was. That was first, but then this one was more of like, Jacob was like, "Hey guys, let's play D&D," and we went, "Okay," but I was also like, "It's
Yeah.
I know of D&D." And it was obviously nothing similar to what I was used to because I only played it for that little bit, so it was completely new. I played a Fenris.
A Fenris. That's a pretty good description.
She's an odd duck,
duck.
who could turn into
Could
a
turn
duck
into a
if she wants to, and she just, man, she's fun.
Do
Still
we
really
want to tell about the story?
Nope, no.
no, we do.
Jack, what was your
We've got
first time
we've got a lot
playing
of
D&D?
questions still. Thank you for
You
asking.
guys want to know?
I was,
I'll post the
I was
Discord.
11, I think. I was 11 or 12. My friend said, like, my friend Owen. Hi, Owen. His dad had played D&D 4th edition with him and his cousin, and they were like, "This game is super fun. You should come play with us. Bring your brother." And so I went over with my brother Kenneth. Hi, Kenneth. And my first character was a human cleric. Cleric.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We both play clerics.
Yeah, it's a great class. Then my
is a
brother
really
played a
good class.
Dragonborn Paladin, and I remember our first adventure was like barely even an adventure. It was basically an encounter because his dad was just introducing us to the game. My brother and I were both like religious characters, and so we agreed that we were of the same like religious order. We both served Bahamut.
Nice.
And we were just meditating in the monastery when suddenly the floor opened up and there was a dungeon underneath the monastery. And my friend Owen, who was playing Awesome, the halfling rogue,
Awesome.
was being attacked by a gelatinous cube. And so the first monster I ever fought in D&D was a gelatinous cube. So I got like a really special
Awesome.
place in
Don't
my
you
heart.
hate it
when-
We're both clerics and gelatinous cubes.
Gelatinous cues will always have a soft spot.
Yeah, they're just
I love gelatinous
they're
cubes.
just a walking soft spot.
Yeah.
Nice and squishy. All right, next question.
Sorry, we took a long time
No,
with that
that's okay.
Racing.
Mario Sack wants to know what has to be the dumbest thing you guys had to like take a solid couple minutes to argue about over a ruling. One that comes to my mind, and I don't really know if this is your guys' like official like dumbest thing, was that my guest appearance on Sunder, where you and Colton got in like a really tense discussion about chase rules.
Yep. Yeah. Don't worry, that's been solved through. You can go back and watch how angry we were during that point in time. Colton brought up a good point, and the problem is that chasing is dumb, and the rulings make no sense.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be. I understand how it's supposed to work, but there's so many holes in its system that I'm just like, just don't worry about it. But Colton worries about it, and so we're like, dude, that game was, I can't remember what game it was, but there's a solid couple of minutes on stream where we're just arguing about chase rules.
Shooting daggers.
Dude, it was so, because I was just like, just shut up and let me do it. And he's like, but I don't understand how it works.
My girlfriend was live texting me that whole game, and she said, "That guy's getting really angry, but he's making some really solid points."
I mean, Colton did make a lot of fair points. The problem with the chase rules is that it's just fucked up. It's dumb. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was there a point to
Yeah.
argue about
What about
it?
you guys? Do you guys think? Can any of you guys recall like a
I
really
can-
dumb argument or
Very
like a
encumbrance.
dumb like
Very encumbrance.
have to
I can
stop the game?
think
and
of like
very encumbrance?
maybe in like one of Marshall's games, Colton got pretty mad at Marshall because we were trying to hide in like this vampire's lair, and he like would come out at night, and so Colton built like this like makeshift little hut to hide in because Marshall hates rogues and he doesn't like when they can hide and get a sneak attack. So he was like, I'm gonna be clever, and then the vampire was just like, well, I know that I didn't build this makeshift hut, and Colton got super upset because he was trying to be clever and like that it wasn't really on a rule. It was
They were just
Colton
fighting
trying to
each other, basically.
Colton trying to get around a rule,
Hi, are you
and then
settling?
The
Marshall
weird part
getting
is that
upset.
they were both right, and it was
Yeah.
frustrating because like Marshall's not wrong. If a vampire comes out and in
Mm-hmm.
the middle of his house is a stack of bricks, he's gonna be like, "What
Who
is
put this
who
stack
put
of
that
bricks
there?" But then also Colton's like, "If I can't stealth, I can't do anything. So I
Yeah.
need to find some way to stealth."
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
this is a frustrating.
I remember
moment
that being
reaching.
like, let's just
Yeah.
fight the vampire and we can leave.
Yeah.
We argued
You
for a
ready?
while on like Mario Sack is definitely asking for like a moment where like, this rule is dumb, or like we were thinking about it, but most of them have just been
Shut up, Cortana.
shut up. I need to turn it off on that thing.
Hey,
Was very
hey,
encumbrance.
Never make a girl a promise if you know you can't keep it.
Oh, it's in touchscreen mode. Yeah, I implemented varied encumbrance in the middle of a couple of my campaigns because I wanted to from the beginning, but I forgot to specify it. And
That's-
Tyler did that in Fallout? Everyone disliked that.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I was part of that chat at the
Yeah.
time, and I saw him
I
post
think
that,
we were just
and I thought it was
going
really
back
funny.
and
I also
I
had
think
no
that-
idea what was going on.
I think the biggest thing with that is, sure, I disagreed with varied encumbrance. Not that I disagree with it. I just find it annoying. But the biggest issue I had with that whole debacle is we had discussed at the beginning of the campaign about maybe doing a varied encumbrance, and decided not to. We agreed not to,
don't know what you
and then suddenly halfway through the thing, you're like, you guys are not doing a varied encumbrance. I thought we were all doing. You have to do varied encumbrance right now. I'm like, no, we had discussion about this 3 months ago.
I didn't remember
Yeah,
that.
Jacob.
So
Yeah.
the argument was less on the rule itself and more on the implementation of
Right.
something.
Yeah.
It was
Of
very,
course.
and I'm pretty chill about rules. It's like, you know what? If the rule's
Yeah,
gonna happen,
well-
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not gonna argue because
Yeah.
half
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
But that was one. It was more of just where we got it from was the frustration of it just suddenly happening. And
Yeah.
It's just like really.
My
Really?
thing
And now I'm
always
okay.
is
I don't care.
the DM's word is law.
I'm just
so
gonna be
if
encumbered.
he
Oh,
can
wow.
change the rule if he wants to,
Mm-hmm.
but
Sorry.
please tell us ahead of
I've been
time.
better about it now.
Yeah.
If I specified at the beginning of the
Yeah.
campaign,
Sorry, my
then we
hands
don't
are
run
cold.
with it. So
Yeah.
unless everybody
I
comes.
Let's move on to the next question, shall we?
Yeah.
This one's from Cheebus McGeebus once again.
Mr.
This is
Geebus.
a nice quick one for everybody. Favorite races and class combo. We're just gonna do one from everybody.
Did we do this last time? I don't know.
We did favorite class.
So
Race class
Race
combo?
class
Oh, this is
combo.
different. Okay.
Combo.
Mine is human variant and everything.
Dude, my man right here, my boy. If there wasn't this table in the way.
I have mine. I just have mine like right away. Halfling rogue. It's a lot of fun.
Halfling rogue.
Solid
is a good
choice.
one.
I love halflings. Yeah.
I really like halflings.
I feel like
don't
no one
play
plays
them too much.
No one ever
That was my
plays
first-
them.
my
That's
first,
why when I played a halfling the
Sphinx.
other night
Sphinx is my
in
baby girl.
Eberron, I had so much fucking fun.
Yeah.
You're Irish.
Like my Irish halfling who rode a dinosaur.
We died in the first game.
My dinosaur died, but that's a different story. We're not going to talk about that.
No.
Please don't bring up Bessie. Grace, favorite class race combo.
Writing up for Tyler's potential is it like
Mhm.
definitely canon.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I'm really enjoying an Eladrin Bard. I just
Eladrin
like
So fitting for you.
how they how they are, and it feels just very fitting with how I'm setting up the character. So I really, 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 really love Faye.
Yeah.
And I
Very
love
cool.
fairy courts, and if you give me anything about that, I'll just go, thank you. I don't know why I like the Unseelie and the Seelie so much, but I do.
No, they're super
All right,
cool.
Wizards of the Coast, give it to us.
Um,
Give it to us.
Changeling Rogue.
Ah,
Ah,
Changeling
Ooh,
Rogue.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, love
That's a
me
good
some
one.
changelings.
Changelings.
Changelings are
Freaking
awesome.
I love changelings.
Changelings.
They took unsettling visage away from Jane
Good,
James.
it's dumb.
No, it's not. It's
I'm
fun.
on
I
your
like
side,
it.
Jack.
I kinda
Human
agree.
variant, almost anything. I love humans.
I love humans. I talked to you about this
I
before.
am
like,
one.
I love being like the normal person in
The
the
normal
party
guy,
compared to
Laszlo.
everybody else.
Superpowers. Like
Basically.
everybody's like, well, I like to have a mix of fantasy. It's like, yeah, you're a guy with superpowers.
I
Well, that was
swear-
me with like Laszlo. Like I'm just a dude with a sword, and everyone around me are like kings and queens and magic beings, and I'm just a dude with a sword.
My favorite races, though, have to be not races. Classes are Bard and Warlock. But
Hey, you only gotta
I-
pick one.
what?
One. You get to pick one.
I can't
You
choose
have,
between the two.
you have to pick a combo.
One.
A combo?
If I had to
Human
pick,
Bard
if
is
I had to
probably
pick a
my
combo,
favorite.
it's human variant and fighter because fighter is my favorite.
Fighter's awesome. Human variant Bard Fighter is also really fun.
Hey,
Especially
hey.
those swords Bard.
Hey,
Mhm.
you're dipping
Alright,
into multi-classing.
Next question.
Can't do that.
This is from Gabriel de la Soul.
Gabe!
Gabe, yes.
What's up, buddy?
He wants to know.
I know Gabe.
Recent dungeon dudes gave an explanation on why removing players from the room for secret information, a la Matthew Mercer whispers, excusing people for visions and such, is often detrimental to a game. How do you all feel about this?
Oh, I would want to know more about the way they talked about it. I'll have to watch their video because I don't want to take them out of context.
Yeah.
But based on that information alone, I mean, we play with it, so I kind of disagree. I can see how some groups would have a hard time with it.
It would.
Gabe says that he thinks it ruins the flow, and I can feel that sometimes. But like,
Okay,
it depends on how it's done.
sorry, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, sorry.
I'm saying. I think it depends more on how the group acts as a cohesive unit. If it's going back and forth because one player is saying, I want to backstab the other player and all that, and it's going back and forth and it's all this secret stuff against the team, then it can break the flow because then the DM's having to stop and be like,
Right.
okay, do this, and we go, what's going on? But with previous game, sorry for spoilers, Vincent and Klaus were just walked off to talk about feeble-minding Atlantica, which would have been,
Yeah.
it happened.
It had to happen.
Which was a good use of going off screen to discuss it, coming back, and then it happening.
Yeah.
Because of the reason why it was casted, because otherwise Atlantica would have reacted.
Yeah.
But it really just depends on in the context of how the party acts.
So, for example, I still do it with my patron game, but sorry to throw you guys under the bus. I love you guys if you're watching. I don't do it as much with them anymore because we had problems with metagaming on it. And so as I didn't talk to them about it, but it came to my mind where it became difficult because they would know I told somebody secret information. So then they would work really hard to find out what that secret
Hey, what happened?
information.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Something
exactly.
happened last night?
And so,
My friends do the
it was
exact
really
same
annoying.
thing.
So
Any battery?
sometimes I would throw them off and I'd be like, Amy, I'm going to tell you something. And I literally typed to them, I'm not telling you anything. This is just to throw them off. And they would freak out. And it's like, you see, you're dumb. But these guys work really well with it. It's in our home games, I use it very sparingly if I have to because it's only for moments where I really want the rest of the players to be in the dark. I don't want them to know about something very specific. One of the most fun times we ever had in a game, the coolest moments was in Curse of Strahd, where I had a whole bit where before the game started, I was like, Colton, Strahd is going to impersonate you this game. You have to play as Strahd. If we would have had that conversation during the middle of the game and as it was going on, then it would have killed everything.
Yeah.
But it was cool that they thought that Colton was playing Ira and that's how it was happening, but it was actually Strahd, and that moment wouldn't have happened if we didn't have secrets. And
Super cool.
it can be detrimental, it just really depends on the
Yeah.
players.
And it was a lot more fun to figure it out ourselves, knowing that we didn't know he was Strahd, but our characters were still like, that doesn't add up.
Yeah.
What are you talking
There's
about?
one more thing I'm gonna add to this. Sorry, I keep talking about
No,
it.
you're fine.
I really disagree with this on the aspect of I really like players to explain the information they know.
Yes.
In another game we play that I won't name drop, there are some people who play in that game that just go, "Can I know a thing?" And then they go, "Informed." And it's like, no, tell me. And so sometimes I wanna get around that, and I'll be like, okay, you want to learn about something? I'm gonna send it to you so that you can communicate that to them, because sometimes it gets lost in translation.
When I do my legend lore, and you send me like a paragraph on what I would know, I describe it in my own words. I don't just go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
this is
sometimes-
what it says.
sometimes you
Unless
don't
it's
say
like
anything.
sometimes it's like a poem. I'm like, hey, you guys can, I'll send you the
You
poem
guys can
because I.
extrapolate.
Yeah, and you'd be figuring out what your character would find most, informative
Yeah.
to the group if they would keep things to themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
There are
Last
some
game,
pieces of
Carrie
information.
didn't want to say, Pact of the Undying. It was more of just like, and then we're gonna deal with this later. But
Yeah.
it would just depend on
And
what sort of information.
And I actually constantly message you during games sometimes.
Yeah.
Just your little things.
I'm
your
not
little
super
information.
for like bits where it's
I
like
don't
really
wanna
important,
move
and the player's like, I want to run this on in messages or like in a whisper, and it's like, no, we can just do it. Like if it's not super like,
Yeah.
ooh, then we'll just do it so that everybody can
That's
see
me
it. but-
specifying.
Yeah.
Is this important? Yeah.
Yeah.
When Kyria proposed, it was.
How do you feel about it, Jay?
Again, I think I agree with what you're saying. Like, depending on how you do it, it can be really cool. But it can also like if it happens at a particular moment, it can really like kind of like
The,
screw
yeah,
stall.
the DM needs to be smart about it.
Yeah, you need to be smart about where you do it. And I have, God,
He
all
likes
my
to break
friends
your
that I
back.
play with who aren't these guys, because I'm never here.
sad.
They always they're so suspicious about everything.
So fun.
Everyone they talk to, insight check. Every time they walk down a hallway, perception check. It's like,
crazy.
can y'all just like chill out for 5 seconds? Like, when was the last time I ever ran traps? Like ever. I don't know how they work.
But that's how you get them. Now the next time, they'll.
My girlfriend might grow up.
She's like taking notes.
Gabe also wants
I'm
to
so
know
sorry.
when's the Sunder Chatterbait live stream coming?
Logan and I are thinking about implementing that probably later 2020.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get you on board for that one.
Yeah, if I'm in town.
Cool,
Absolutely.
great, awesome.
He also wants to know when you'll expand your D&D empire into the unknown regions of the internet. When you will expand your empire into the unknown regions of the
My
internet.
empire.
Your empire.
I have an empire.
Yes, your YouTube empire.
My YouTube empire into the rest.
You have brought peace,
and justice to
and
my new
security.
empire.
Your new empire. But he also he says, jokes aside, I do hope you grow your audience through other sites too. It's always a pleasure to see YouTubers grow, as gradual as it can be.
Oh yeah.
Gabe's just giving you a compliment.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. No, definitely.
Hey.
Logan's doing what?
When's the book coming?
Well, Logan's book is first.
Yes.
Logan's writing a book right now. I'm super happy for him. That's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome. But Tyler and I have something cooking in the works. So.
Tall boy needs
Soon.
some rest.
Soon, TM.
Cheapest McGeebus wants to know, how much has Mario Sack donated, and does he really exist, or is he an FBI agent or bot? He's talked to me a couple of times. I've spoken to him.
I also
So he's
thought-
definitely not a bot. He has a
could be an
human
FBI
voice.
agent.
He could be an FBI
Maybe
agent.
he's an AI.
He could be an AI.
Is that where all the money comes from? Do you think?
The FBI?
Yeah.
Must
We
be.
get paid directly by the FBI?
Wow.
Yeah, we're all playing.
No, it's probably not official. He's probably not supposed to.
No, Mario Sack's a real person. He's actually a really cool guy. I
Yeah.
played one shot with him one time, and Logan often hangs out with him and plays stuff with him. And I hear the tales of Logan and Mario Sack being terrible people in Smash Bros.
I love
So
that. I love that. We have a question from our favorite FBI agent, Mario Sack, for Spencer. Spencer, do you ever get fucked up from eating a lot of spicy food? Spicy ass stuff my fellow brown boys at work cooked up. I'm quoting this. I just realized this. This is what he said. Alright? And it feels like Satan is dancing in my asshole. I don't think the firefighters can get to me in time. It'll have to take to break through my bathroom door.
fucking love you, dude.
There's been one time where I've been like, I want to die, and it was I made ghost pepper salsa.
God.
Oh my god.
And I was like, I'm
just
gonna,
went
I'm just
from
gonna fucking
0 to
die
100
today.
really quick.
Yeah, my dad grows ghost peppers.
Oh, okay.
And
If you want some, hit her
but
up.
funnily enough, milk will fuck my shit up, but spicy food, no. No.
She's
Interesting.
lactose intolerant.
Well, there you
I'm
go,
lactose
Mario
intolerant.
Sack.
I'll deal with
She is
it.
stronger than you.
In
Yeah,
case you guys want to know,
little white girl.
Spencer is very small.
Yes.
And cannot handle most foods, but spicy. I think it's because all of her taste buds burned off. She can handle so much spicy.
When I was
food.
I love
when I was in my mother's womb, she only craved spicy food, and it's just so it's like since birth I've been like, give it.
Nice.
Give me.
You're the craving. You're the reason.
You are the craving.
She's crazy. I don't get it. She will drench almost all the food she eats.
It doesn't
is
taste
spicy.
good
And it's
until it
just
has
like,
hot sauce on
I
it.
agree.
Oh.
Eggs doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
unless you
Oh,
put
I
hot
agree.
sauce
I
on
agree with that one.
Like if you're getting like pad thai, gotta put some chili
Hot
sauce
sauce.
on that.
No, she's like regular mac and cheese or noodles. It's like
I like
tahini
that, though.
and
I'm-
red hot, and
I'm
just
gonna try
mixes
that.
it in there.
Interesting. Red hot, sure. I feel you.
Yeah.
Jacob, when will the next subclass podcast be?
Sorry, guys.
Jesus McGeevis loves those things.
Okay. It's been really, really, really crazy. We've been moving the stream. We moved in a house, and we went to PAX, and it's the holidays. Colton kind of works for me a little bit, and he's been gone this week. And then
No, I'm sorry. Mario Sack has drawn to Nevu as you described him.
Oh, yeah. Did he draw him again? Yes!
Amazing.
Yes!
If you guys can't see this, go to Discord, check it out. I keep forgetting to check the chat.
Love it, my
Because
guy.
I'm trying to make sure that I'm staying
So
up to date
cool.
on everybody's.
Man.
Yeah, thank you, Mario Sack. So
Oh,
next subclass
and yeah,
podcast
we've just been really
is
busy.
coming.
It's coming soon. Weirdly enough, it's an old one that we recorded, and we did Q&A on it. We actually talked about Jack a little bit on it. So
I'll watch that.
we'll have that one up, and then a new one on the Patreon, and then Logan and I will get into the mix of it. We're planning on doing like a 3-hour long one at some point. So yeah, we have some stuff cooking, but it's taking a while because it's winter break
burner
and
is on
it's a
low.
new year, and I was moving, and it's just been
Yeah.
really busy, and I have another channel and I make content on, and I'm doing all the work. So soon.
It's a crazy time.
Foosball, come here.
Next question. Vault Dweller 604 paid $50 to get these questions asked.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Oh my
there's-
god!
it says 2, but there are 3 questions.
Okay.
So the first question: when is the new Saltmarsh episode going out?
This is a,
They asked that.
I tried to
this
post
is a
it
Q&A to
yesterday. Didn't work because I
Cool.
found out that there was a major issue with the rendering, and I had to re-render it. I'm currently rendering in my house right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
We're
hopefully
not
Tuesday.
We're not doing it that way anymore.
No.
We have
Fine.
originally set it up as to be like we edit it later, but we realized how much effort that takes and how much rendering time it takes. So
It takes
the way
like
we do it
16
now,
hours to render.
we just set it up like a stream and then record it and then have breaks in the middle, and we do not edit it. So from then on, the episodes will be getting up there pretty fast. But Ghost of Saltmarsh, we have so many episodes on backlog.
Yes.
So many. We have like 15 episodes.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Yeah.
so many that we just have to fucking
We're-
render, and they're so annoying. So they're coming. We have them.
We're almost
we
done
really
with
want you guys to watch
Saltmarsh.
them. They're just we can't get them up. So
Second question: what is everyone's favorite multi-classing pair up? I think you said yours earlier.
yeah,
I got
Fard.
Ford.
Fighter Bard.
Excuse you.
It's specifically a swords bard and a battlemaster fighter.
Battlemaster.
You get so many options. You can be like, you can do a flourish, or you can like do a commander strike. Like you just feel like a commanding leader in battle. It's a lot of fun.
Despite the fact that I don't play like either of these classes, I don't know. I played one of the classes in the campaign. Rogue Bard.
Rogue Bard's pretty cool. It's a good little bit.
Colton, I think,
Interesting.
just
I
has
like
his little
it.
kingdom of rogue bards.
Yeah.
I'm over
Yeah.
here just
Rogue
like,
Bard, solid. What about you guys?
They now have
Probably,
skills and expertise.
Roguelock.
Yeah.
Rogue and Warlock. That one's pretty
Roguelike is
fun.
pretty cool.
Yep.
It's like alleviates the boringness of
a rogue.
playing
Yeah.
just rogue. Give
Yeah.
you a little bit of spice. It's good.
I always will have a soft place in my heart for just sorcerer
Sword.
bard.
Sorcerer
Yeah,
bard.
sword. Because it just offered a lot of roleplay potential for that character,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
it worked out really well. So much.
Yeah. My
Skills.
favorite. My favorite. That's great.
Super cool.
Best girl.
Awesome. And then last question. I think this doesn't necessarily pertain to D&D. I think it just pertains to like fantasy media in
Okay.
general. What is your favorite magic system that you've come across? For myself, it's the system from the Wheel of Time series.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never read Wheel of Time, but I'm sure it's great. It's a very famous book series.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you seem very enthusiastic about this subject.
Sorry,
so knock it out.
She's an expert
I
in this stuff.
love magic, especially because my favorite author who writes fantastic magic systems finished off Wheel of Time, Brandon Sanderson. Oh, God. His books are basically just stories so he can make really cool magic. So he's
Love
just
that.
like,
That's cool.
here's your magic. But oh man, everything. If you like hardcore, like high fantasy, it's really fun to read his stuff because it's not very stereotypical fantasy. It's not Tolkien fantasy at all. So it's unique, and there's a lot of stuff to it. His biggest series. I need to read the third book. I have it, and I haven't been reading at all. But just the entire magic system is cool because it's technically magic doesn't exist anymore, and it's all based around the light of storms and all that. They get all their magic and all their energy from Stormlight, and that's Stormlight Archives, and they basically hoard it. And if something is imbued with the light, it's more expensive. It's fun. His other books, crap, I forgot the series name. It was all to do with metal. So you would actually inhale a metal and you would gain an ability. And one of them was like, oh, you just stop time for a while. And it's really interesting because there's like pushing and pulling. And it's a lot of physics based. And then there's one where he has like chalk. They're all really interesting.
Cool.
So I love magic and I love magic systems. And I'm Brandon Sanderson. This is my what's a TED Talk?
Grace's magic TED Talk.
Grace and I have stood out in the parking lot of Logan's apartment in the middle of the night talking about this type of stuff for hours after Sunder.
My mom's like, where you at?
Yeah, this is not the first time I've heard her discuss this type of stuff.
I'm super boring and don't know a whole lot of other magic systems. I do know some, but not very many. But in terms of setting, I really like how magic works in The Witcher. It's super dangerous, and it's like you can curse people, but with just words.
Yeah.
And you can, and it's really difficult to learn, but also really difficult to control for those that can use it. But it's also incredibly powerful and completely shapes the world. I love how I forget the name of the author. How he
Andrzej
works.
Sapkowski.
Yeah, I can't. You look at it, I'm like, how do you pronounce that? But it's I really like how he's implemented magic into that. I like that Witchers have like light magic.
Magic light.
Yeah, exactly. But I also love how mutations and mutagens work at the same time. Like it has a biological effect.
It's incredibly like fantastic, but also incredibly scientific.
Yes,
which is interesting.
That's
It's
what I
very
love about
grounded,
it.
which a lot of people like in their magic. And add on to mine. I really like runes too. Anything have runes. We're
You
golden.
and Logan can be good buddies.
my favorite. Oh, did you not say yours
I
yet?
haven't said
I'm
yours
so
yet.
sorry. You go ahead. No, I'm the moderator. My opinions matter the least.
No.
They're here for you guys.
You're okay.
Go ahead, Sid.
I just want to say, not to toot my own horn, but
He's tooting his own horn.
I'm tooting my own horn.
I like Mark.
Kind of.
gonna say?
Because I've been developing my own specifically to how I kind of like magic. I'm not going to say it right now because it's going to be a campaign that
Sure.
these guys are going to be in.
But you like it.
I like it.
Great.
I have a lot of specific reasons. It's very much based off of just the standard D&D, but taking away the weave. I'm not
okay.
working off the weave.
Interesting.
It's not the weave theory. It's a whole different thing.
I like that. I like that.
Weaving
Breaking
out
away from
the
tradition.
theory.
Mine, gosh, I've been wanting to play this game forever, but I never have because I'm the kind of guy who looks at a new RPG system. I'm like Jordan. I'm like, hey, this looks fun, guys. Let's play this game that I've micro-fixated on. And then we play like one game of it, or we plan to play a game of it, like we make characters and everything, and then we just never do, or just never play it again. And it's always like, hey, let's just play D&D again. And it's the Deadlands magic system, where you basically like have to make a poker hand.
Deadlands books are up there.
And depending on how good your poker hand is, you either cast your spell or you like get affected by the spirit that you're like trying to contact to cast the spell. It's really neat.
Dude,
it's showcased really well in the Critical Role little mini series that they did, which I haven't finished yet because I'm so busy.
Hey,
but
Jack,
yeah,
be in my Deadlands game.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I'm never here.
That's fair.
Um,
It's never gonna happen because
great.
I'm way too anxious to run a D&D or a Deadlands game. Yeah.
Okay,
There's
I
actually
am
not
trying
many
to do
magic
these.
systems
I
I
am
don't
doing my best
dislike.
to both moderate the chat and also keep up with questions
Sorry,
based
Jack.
on chronological order. No, it's cool. I shouldn't have opened up a second avenue of questioning.
You're doing great, my boy. I'm so
I think
proud
people
of you.
realize that I don't see questions in the chat, and so they're moving to Discord. This one's from Mario Sack. We could do this one pretty quick because there are still a
Do
bunch
we
of questions.
really? Do we? No.
Since we're friends and we know each other,
We are.
Yeah.
if we were to give each other classes, what would they be? It says stats too, but let's just focus on classes for now.
Stats would
'Cause
take forever.
Stats would take forever and also might be potentially insulting.
Oh,
Yeah.
incredibly insulting.
Well, I think I know what Jacob and I would be.
Yeah,
Bards.
yeah, bards.
We're bards. Yeah.
Both of you bards.
Bard of the internet community.
Yeah. You're a glamour bard.
Yeah,
Bard.
I'm bard.
I'm a bard of lore because I know
Yeah.
so much stupid trivia.
Yeah.
Oh, Bard of lore.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I could be glamour bard.
Moose.
It just entrance people in a
Hello.
nearby area
Yeah.
with my doughiness.
I feel like
Sit
Megan or Spencer is really just a rogue.
Or druid.
Spencer is also a druid.
Spencer is also a druid. That's true.
I'm
Spencer
multi-classed.
is really good. I've always said that Spencer is a mix between like druid and rogue, where she's like really stealthy and like she knows how to be quiet and like and all that kind of stuff and like, oh, I know where to stab you where you would hurt the most, and it's like, okay, well that's weird.
Druid rogue.
But then
How do
also
you know
like
about
she's
that?
like, I'm gonna feed this possum and let it into our house, and it's like, well,
So she's a scout, is what you're saying.
Yes.
She's a rogue scout.
Yeah.
Just you
Yes.
wait. Tyler told me there are possums in the neighborhood. I'm gonna find
I
one.
guess a rogue druid is just a ranger.
You're right.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah.
Ooh.
She doesn't really like
I
rangers.
don't like ranger.
Yeah.
Hey Grace, you're a wizard.
Grace is totally a wizard. Yeah. I'm struggling with Tyler though.
I would have.
I also think he's a wizard, but they're
I can
different
see
subclasses
it.
of wizard.
Yeah.
Tyler's told me before. He's
You're
like a transmutation wizard.
I could see
or
that.
an illusion wizard because
Illusion
3D
wizard.
graphics.
Oh yeah. You are an illusion wizard.
I'm like kind of
I'm
bard,
gonna
but
fight
not
people
quite.
all the time.
Evocation wizard.
All the fucking time.
War magic.
See, but it's still I deal with a lot of people all the fucking
Yeah.
time.
Enchantment
So it's,
wizard.
it's like,
Charm.
Charm him. Give him the old
guys-
target
you
charm.
guys don't know this, but when I answer phone calls, I turn into a completely different person.
It's fun to
Yeah.
see you just talking to people at Target, and I'm like, oh, she does not want to be there.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't.
You can
You can tell.
I can change into a completely different person. I'm like fine with working there. I really enjoy working there, but sometimes people are stupid.
Yeah.
People are really fucking stupid.
I'm so stupid.
Question from Phil Swift, Destroyer of Worlds.
Oh,
my
interesting.
God, Phil Swift
Mr.
is
Destroyer
here.
of Worlds.
Jacob, how would you handle a harsh campaign with more struggles? My players want to try a Dark Souls-esque campaign.
Oh.
So how would you handle like a grimdark kind of
Don't
crazy
make-
world like Dark Souls?
Don't make the enemy stronger. Take away a lot of their resources. That's how I tend to make my games harder. That's why Dark Souls.
By
is
their
so
resources, you
difficult.
mean the players' resources?
Yes.
Yeah.
The monsters can stay the monsters. The problem that you want to run in, the thing you'll run into a lot, especially with the concept of 5th edition, is it gives the players everything. What you want to do is, when you want to make your game hard, you have to take away things from the players. So when you start off that campaign,
Is a good way to do it.
very encumbrance. You also that's why Dark Souls is a hard video game to begin with. The combat is not that difficult. The problem is that you could spend 10 minutes going all the way to this level, die, and have to go all the way back, and it's like, God damn it!
And you don't want to replicate that.
No, and so that's why it becomes difficult. Not because it's frustrating, but because you get afraid, you don't know where to go, you want to give that tension to your players. So one way to do it is, we did it for a Halloween game, and I think it's a good way to kind of go about it, is you track their hit points. If you track their hit points,
That's cool.
yeah, you just kind of tell them when
my
they're
gosh.
hurt. Yeah. Another one that I already just implemented in my games is you also roll their death saving throws. I didn't know
Oh
that
my
one.
God.
It creates
How
so
fun
much
is it?
tension.
it
Another
fun.
one I would say is just make healing very difficult.
Yeah.
Like just make cure wounds a minute to cast. Don't give them health potions. And all you have to do is just make it harder for them to continue surviving. It'll immediately make the game more difficult.
If
Give them that Estus flask.
Yeah,
All
it's
share
just
with
fast.
one
There you
another.
go, yeah. You don't have to make the monsters do more damage. You just have to take more stuff away from
And
the
honestly,
players.
if your monsters have a reasonable intelligence or wisdom, they will use tactics.
Yes.
So, they won't just charge in or
Yeah,
all
they'll
that.
stalk
They're-
your party.
Yeah, it depending on how they're built. So
Yeah.
play to your monster's strengths and weaknesses to give them some
I
sense
tried to
of
do
hope.
that a lot more recently because I want the enemies to be smarter, but I have to try really hard to not have the metagame. But it's like
Yeah.
they know you're healing them, so they're going to target you. So
You're not wearing any armor. You might be easier to hit.
if you want a really good strategy to make really, really hard combat for your parties, I really want to make a video about this. Is split them up.
Yep.
If they're all in a group, they all have the action economy and they can just boom at the enemies. But if you split them up into different places where they cannot get to each other, it is so difficult. Because not only will they try to fight the enemy, they will also try their best to get back to the rest of the party. So they'll be split. They'll be like, I want to get back, but I also want to fight this guy that's about to kill me. And they have to like think about that aspect. That's
Last
another
game.
part that makes Dark Souls very, very difficult, is that it does a really good job at making you feel alone, which is also why when you play it multiplayer, the game is really easy because they just kill everything and you have buddies. But the best part about Dark Souls is everything is going to kill
Get
you.
out of the sink.
So
Moose.
there's no solace except for that bonfire, and that's the thing is you want to make like a bonfire for your game. You
Yeah.
have that like okay.
I'm
You
finally
guys
safe.
can long rest, and it's
Like,
like, oh my god, we can do it.
Yeah, like give them some solace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
If they want it, then make it as hard as they want. But don't be like me, who's just like, guys, the game's hard now, and they're like, why are you like this?
I am not optimized.
Question for Tyler.
Oh.
I think they asked you this question thinking that you played Parry in Tesseract, but it still applies.
Okay.
What do you find more rewarding to play? Because Atlantic is female, right?
Yes.
Like what do you? I think the question is like, what do you find like different or like enjoyable about playing like a female character rather than a male character?
It's a very good question that I don't have an exact answer to.
It's
I ask Tyler
Yeah.
this all the time.
no, because I do the same thing sometimes. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'll just like whip out a female character. I'm like, yeah, they're just female. Like my freaking halfling.
I get it.
I
Yeah.
just
We're just like,
I
what?
don't know. I don't have a very specific answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there isn't really that huge of a huge of a difference
There is no
between a like a
in
D&D
D-
character.
in
yeah.
a D&D character in D&D campaign. There's no real physical difference between a male and a female character. So anything like that does not matter. It's just how you imagine the character to be.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, sometimes I'll just draw up a character design or think like, man, like this would be a really cool class, and be like, this character in my mind is a woman, or this character in my mind is male.
Colton
or
does the
whatever.
same thing where
You know?
he'll have a character idea, and as he's thinking about it, he'll eventually start assigning a pronoun to them, and then is like, okay, that's the character, they're female. Because
yeah.
I just started saying she, and it's like, well, I think that's
Yeah,
really,
that's
that's
really
an interesting
cool.
way to do it. I do the same thing, except all my characters just end up being dudes, because I think I just self-project, and I'm just like...
That's completely.
Some people are like that. I don't know why I play more guys. I don't even mean to. But
So does she.
yeah, I don't know. I just don't even mean to. Issa will be interesting because it's solely they.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
I get to be a girl like every day of my life, so.
It's very much in the same way. It's just like I'm already experiencing it. It's just
Yeah. I've had a few concept for female characters, but I've just never been able to like play them or finish fleshing them out.
Yeah.
Just like
Make
Struggle
compelling
with this
female
concept so
villains.
I can play female NPCs just fine. I actually prefer female villains for whatever reason. I don't know why. I think female villains are a lot cooler in my opinion.
you don't see them too often, and they very often play into very specific categories that I will not detail or get into at all because we
Yeah.
don't need another TED talk.
Not like fucking sexist. Like women make better villains. It's not what I'm trying to say at all. I just, God, they're so. You're right. They're not very prevalent too often, and so when Zariel was a thing, I was like, she's so cool. She's so cool.
In season 1, there was Katarine, and I really liked her. I thought
Yeah.
she was pretty cool.
Well, and like
And
I
then
think
we-
back to
Yeah,
like
Drow.
I think back to like Immortals too, and I feel like
Azrael?
no, not Azrael.
Shuck.
There was also
freaking
Shuck.
no, your mom.
Yeah.
Haha.
Callista.
Callista Maladin, I was literally terrified of her, like more than anyone in the entire setting, honestly.
Yeah.
And just something about her just really like set me off. Like I don't know, just from the minute my character met her and realized he had a crush on her daughter, it was
It's
like, oh.
Probably because you could see it was a lot of, for me, it was a lot of, it was very unobtrusive, nothing. Ashkari is messed up because of her.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of mental and emotional manipulation.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it wasn't very prevalent unless you thought a lot about it. And then she becomes more and more chilling, which is, I also agree. I
Yeah.
liked her.
She's creepy.
In character, Ashkari feared her mother more than an adult black dragon.
Yeah, I don't know. She was really interesting. I really enjoyed what we got to do out of Callista. Yeah, Shuck that was Lynn's creation.
Yeah.
Shuck was
Fuck
Shuck was Shuck. I don't know why I get that way about like the villains I create. I always just find them so much more like compelling, not like interesting, more compelling. As soon as like oh, but what if they were a girl? And it's like, oh, this is
But
so
what if?
cool. I don't know why
Unless-
this is so much more terrifying to me. And like, I don't know what it is. I don't know
I
what
mean,
it
you
is.
could also say it's just very much we don't see those types of supervillains as female. They're very often men. So
And
you don't
do you know
think
what?
about
And
that.
a lot of the female villains that I often see are not that good.
Yeah.
They're just shitty. They're
Do you
just
want me
like,
to come back to my TED Talk?
you know what?
Yeah.
My fucking TED Talk is that they just try to make the female villains like men, and it's like, this is not. What are you doing?
And
Like-
in both contexts, they like
let
men,
him-
and
just
they
let
are
him.
going to be like it. It's just
It's-
that's
yeah.
why it's a TED Talk, and we don't need to go there.
No,
if
just
you
let him.
want to, you can at me, and we'll talk about this in Discord.
Speaking of Discord, a question from
Oh.
Devodster.
The monster.
Oh, actually, first, a question from Kid Spy Agency. We'll get to
Spy
you,
agency.
Devodster.
Holy
Spy Kids, yeah.
My friend's character knows a lot about battle strategy and monsters, in parentheses, helped Paladin patron guard gates to hell. But he didn't go to school in his backstory. What should we do in regards to his intelligence?
Okay, so he knows strategies, but he didn't go to school.
I feel like strategy is more of like a...
Wisdom.
I don't know if it's really an intelligence-based thing.
No,
I
I mean-
played a lot of Fire Emblem lately, and
I mean,
I make bad decisions in Fire Emblem, and I attribute it to my low wisdom score in real life.
I can go back to just Kyria and Phelan. Kyria didn't finish school. He got left behind at 14.
Yeah.
So a lot of it came from personal experience. You could put it as that. Wisdom is a fantastic separation from intelligence because it comes from your personal experience, and it could be from experience itself. You don't
Yeah.
have to book read to be good at tactics.
Right.
It's a lot of it is instinctive.
Yeah.
And some people have a better tactical mind for that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think it can be more of a tactical thing.
You don't have to spin it as an intelligence, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something I had a big argument about. I can't remember what it was. I should bring it up if I can't remember. But it was I was making those Smash Brothers and D&D characters videos, and I made Link, and I was like, Link should have I think I said he should have a high intelligence because he solves puzzles all the time, and puzzles is like an intelligence thing, and so. And I think a lot of people are arguing that like that puzzles are more wisdom or something like that. But
Oh, no.
but no, they are moral intelligence. So I think it can go either way is the
Sit down.
thing because
Good boy.
you can learn strategies that way, but there is a lot of instinct to it.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
only pulling this from the example that's given. If it hasn't gone to school and it's only from that's how I'm
battlefield experience
yeah
is
I'm
basically what they're
spinning it
saying.
for you so that you have a reason to give either a subpar or just a mediocre intelligence of 8 or 10 would be decent enough. It just depends on where you're going with them. But wisdom would be a perfectly fine score to put it all in and just dwell off that. Because you can also have very intelligent characters and
Yeah.
then make very, very stupid
Yeah,
decisions.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's a tough
Looks,
one.
looks at Vincent.
I would say like they don't know how to read, but maybe they know strategies
Yeah.
in terms of intelligence. I
Or
don't
they
know.
can't read big words because they know how to read basic stuff and they could read a regular field report, but you give them a book about decorum and they'll be kind of lost because it's very, it also would depend on their interests. Character description and design is very important to have, how you want to set up a character and it's really how you want to spin it. So, flavor.
Next question is from
Sorry.
Debodster.
The Bodster.
What was going through your guys' mind when Atlantica was on the verge of death? Were you thinking about something in particular, or were you more focused on the actual moment? And I'm going to leave you guys with that question, because I have to go to the bathroom.
Go to the
But
bathroom.
you guys can discuss, and I'll try not to interject.
Go pee pee.
Don't let the cat in there.
Cats in the office.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, they all like to go in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had stuff going through my mind.
What I'll say is,
Yes.
since it's Atlantica, I at that point I wasn't thinking in Atlantica's thought process anymore. I'm like, just gonna have to let it happen.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, happens.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Pretty much. And also, what behind the scenes things does this mean? And how does this affect what's going on? I've mentioned to Jacob multiple times that I don't always expect Atlantica to pull through at the end of this campaign. I've mentioned I almost don't expect her to survive.
We keep
I just have a
saying
feeling.
stop having that thoughts because that's
Yeah, but she gets herself into really bad positions.
Ill
And that
omens.
last one was very evidence of that. And I've talked to him about certain things, and like, I mentioned, I looked at Jacob and I'm like, don't hold back, just do it. I don't. At that point, it's like, just let it happen, and the cards will fall where they will fall. If Atlantica had died and every single thing had she had no opportunity to come back, I even said I'm probably not gonna come back to the campaign.
we wouldn't have been able
Yeah.
to.
You wouldn't have another. It would drop down to 3 players.
Oops, Jacob doesn't kill Atlantica because he wants Tyler to keep
Yeah, pretty
Or
much.
threaten me. That's his ultimate strategy. It's
Yeah.
just like, go ahead, kill her, then I won't play anymore. I'm like, you fuck. Now I won't kill her.
It's the passive aggressive.
But that's not it's not
I
specifically
know.
like that. It's
I'm just joking.
it's because we're close to the end of the campaign. I'm not gonna make
Yeah.
a new character and try
Yeah,
to
makes
set up a
sense.
whole new storyline and all figure out a new character. It's like
It's,
if she's gone, and I'm done. It is what it is.
The most you could have played was Pacifica, and then we have 2 wizards, and we go,
Yeah,
oh
and
boy.
then I'd be playing like
squish.
I'd be playing like Wizard Atlantica to Electric Boogaloo. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not.
She makes
Oh.
better decisions, though.
Wait, Gabe also drew Tenevu as
Oh
well.
my gosh.
Oh.
Oh, crap, that's so great.
I'm sorry, Gabe. I didn't see that one until just now. I'm trying to
Face
keep
Y'all
up
with
with
fucking
everybody.
Tenevu. You guys, I love all the art. It's so great.
That face will haunt my nightmares now.
That Tenevu right there. That's awesome.
That's my end of the
Interesting.
bit.
Very interesting.
Next question is from Mario Sack. This one's not necessarily about D&D. It's a little more personal. So I'll let you
God.
guys choose if you want to get into it.
Scandalous.
Jacob, Spencer, how did you guys meet?
Ultimate power move? Is that the one you want to tell?
No, we didn't
No.
meet through that.
No, that's just how
The
it goes.
first memory I have of Jacob is I was walking to.
We met in high school.
We
Yeah,
all
we
went
met
to
in
high
high
school
school.
together, by the way.
And
I didn't go to
except
high
we
school.
met
Except
Jack
for
later.
Yeah, sorry, Jack.
It's okay.
I was walking to the choir room, and Jacob was coming out of the choir room, and he kind of just stumbled out of the door, and I was like, "Oh, hi," and he was like, "Hi," and I was like, "Are you a freshman?" And he was like, "No, I'm not." And I was like, "Oh,
That's your perspective on that moment? 'Cause
Yeah.
That moment for me was, it had been about a week, and I had seen you, and I was like, oh, she's really pretty. And so I was like, all right, so I got to do something. And
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna go over and just say something to her, and I did, and then I tripped out of the door, and I was just like, hey, what's up?
you told me you liked my shirt," and I was
I
like,
did like your shirt. I don't remember you were.
I was wearing a Doctor Who shirt. I
That
still
was it.
have
I knew
it.
it.
Yeah.
Um,
And then I was just like,
because I really like Doctor Who.
So.
And then I got out of there, and then just continued to be a weird stalker for
Yeah.
all of that time.
Yeah.
Am I
it was
allowed to
weird.
add on to the forbidden lore that
Uh,
Spencer might not know about?
The forbidden.
No, no.
Lore.
Maybe?
The one
Is
where
it-
she's trying
is
to
it-
shove me into the
Oh,
English
I
one?
remember
No.
that. I remember
No,
that.
not
I
that.
have another. I have some forbidden more as well.
Are we allowed
His
to?
birthday present?
No,
No?
not
Okay.
that.
Okay. Let's hear.
I think I was there
I'm really scared right now.
when.
This is on the
Okay.
internet. I would just like to point out.
Yeah.
No,
This
it's
is
fine.
this is
It's
nothing.
fine. So, I remember, I believe, if my memory's not completely making up a random fucking story, but I remember being in the music room with you, and Logan was there for some reason. He was
Yeah.
visiting the campus
Oh
one
yeah,
day,
because Logan just did that.
Yeah.
and I feel
People
like
allowed
he
him.
pointed you out to him.
Oh, that's when I met her. Yeah, that's when I knew about her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were in the music room, and Logan came over to Logan did online schooling, and then there would just be some days where he'd come over, hang out with me at home, and then stay the night, and then I'd be like, dude, I have to go to school, and he'd be like, I'll just come with you. So he would just hang out with me at school. It was weird.
And he would never stand. He'd always sit.
He would just sit down on the ground, and
Because he's a
they
very
just
tall man.
let him because I went to a weird school, and he was just like, she's pretty, and I was like, yes.
And I was like, all right.
And now we're getting married.
Yeah.
Aw.
So-
Well, we actually started dating after weeks and weeks and weeks of just not speaking to one
Oh,
another, but
Lord
making
have
weird
mercy.
faces at each other.
Fun.
And then
Jacob was a little scaredy cat.
I was, yeah. We had a day. No, we talked.
You were just like, just get over there.
Yeah.
Oh, more than just that.
On my birthday, you, Tyler, are your lungs okay? You've coughed like 800 times this string.
Why do you
change
think
the
I've had
subject.
this entire
I
time?
have
No,
cough
fine. Sorry, I was just concerned. You would talk to me on my birthday, like we messaged each other, and I was like, oh shit. And then one of our friends, who was friends with both of us, went to both of us and said, do you like Spencer? And then went to you and was like, do you like Jacob? And we both said yes, and then he went and exchanged the messages with each other. We were like, what the fuck? But then we didn't talk. We were just like, what should we do about this? We had no idea who each other were. And then during like the Halloween dance, we were like, we hung out, and then there was just a point in time where we were just by ourselves, and I was just like, well, you're pretty cool. And then we kissed each other, and then the next day we started dating.
Aww.
For 6 years.
Shout out to Elijah.
Shout out to
Coming
Elijah.
in.
Coming
Thanks,
down
Elijah.
together there.
So
Shoot.
mine was we were playing D&D, of course,
Yeah.
as we do. 3.5 is Logan's game. Logan introduces an NPC named Rose. And you obviously don't remember this. It was hilarious. I think he was either described like Spencer or Jacob assigned that appearance to Spencer or to this NPC. And
I feel like I remember this.
And it just became suddenly all the focus in the game was on this NPC, and it was really
It was a Spencer insert just to mess with Jacob.
Just to mess with Jacob.
Wow.
I've never heard
I'm
about
pretty
this.
sure that's a thing.
And it was
That's funny.
it was more than anything, it was just a funny, like, it was creepy at the time for me.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, obviously he doesn't remember it, but I vividly do. It was now
There's
it's
just a
it's
little
really
red-headed girl in the town. Jacob's like,
oh yeah, she was a rogue. And it was just
Man,
like
Logan
that was the
knows me
thing.
so well.
She was our like it was an encounter, and so we killed everyone. And Jacob is like, "What's this one look like?" Describes Spencer, and he's just like, "We're gonna pretend. We're gonna take her." And he just kept roll after
Yikes.
roll, persuasion and all that. Very much maybe trying to project some.
Yeah.
Something.
I feel like I
Hey, that's
remember
okay.
this.
That's interesting.
But
It's in the
hey, you know,
past.
it
I'm
worked
not-
out.
Can
That's-
never deny that. Also because I don't
Before we
remember.
grudge up any more dark secrets,
And it was
next
jump to
question.
the next question. Thank you. Geralt of Rivia is going to ask this
What?
next question.
Okay, thank you, Geralt.
It's howling.
This power, it's gotta be.
Tyler, how would Atlantica feel if she knew there was a cult that followed her?
Is this Cal the God?
This is Cal.
Yeah.
Cal.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
basically
This is
Cal.
She would be incredibly confused
There's a series.
and probably try to avoid you guys at all.
Nice job, Atlantica.
Sorry, Cal, but
The Atlantica fan club.
I know. It's
I'm
like,
in
she's
it.
like,
I think I'm the vice president.
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
Atlantica
I'm
fan
the
club.
treasurer.
Yeah.
The treasurer of the Atlantica fan club.
yeah, she
There's not
would
very
not-
much money because Atlantica's poor.
She would be
would
very
be-
concerned.
Great. This next
Very
one
nice.
is from
Oh.
Cadet Satan. How do you like that silver? That's enough for you, Geralt.
Thanks,
You
Geralt.
sound weird. For any
Don't.
DMs,
With cough.
how do you plan to run your games? Also, if you're running a pre-written, do you generally read most of the book before starting, or do you just kind of read as you go?
I'm gonna wash my hands because I have no
Yes,
say in
to
this
the
whatsoever.
3 DMs, unless you want to count.
Hey, she counts.
I count. I
Yeah.
DM.
4 DMs.
I DM for children, but I DM.
A DM is a DM.
I don't DM'd a whole lot, so I can't say much.
Um,
But I have like certain things I prepare heavily and go crazy in. And then other things I'm just like, I'll figure out as I go. That's pretty much, and that's also how I kind of do the pre-writs too. Like,
yeah.
I know enough of the gist of what it is, but not enough to like.
Oh, they're under the
fully.
sea.
I'm not gonna read 100% of the page. I'm gonna get the main points and go from there.
I'm such a purist when it comes to the pre-writtens. I want to run it as intended and it was like supposed to be. I get so frustrated when I do it wrong because I don't want to get off book. Because I already have games that are off book, that don't use a book or are a just a homebrew adventure. So when it comes to the pre-writtens, I'm like, well, I want to try like how on book can we be when we play it, and it just really kind of shows like how the adventure is and what's fun about it. I know a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people do not play them like that. They just kind of make it up as they go, and it's like, well,
Avernus is fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely different.
yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one yet. It's interesting, definitely. I'm not going to call it bad, but in terms of like the book, how it's written and the adventure and all of that, because there's a lot of cool ideas, but I think it's later into the game. But what was the question?
The question was, like, how do you prepare? How do you plan to run your games? You've made whole videos about this.
Yeah, I have.
Also, if you're running a pre-written, do you generally read most of the book before starting? Or do you just
Okay,
read as you
That
go?
seems pretty much you answered in the theme.
I kind of I run Curse of Strahd for some of my friends and have been for the past like a year. When it comes to stuff, I just kind of read what I need to know before the session, because sitting down and just reading all of Curse of Strahd is a fucking chore.
Yeah.
It is.
I love that adventure. I am not going to sit down and read it. You know, it's like the Bible. You know, I've got my favorite bits that I'll quote when I need to, but I am not going to read that thing cover to cover in one sitting. No offense to Jesus.
Well, if you have a hard
Jesus
time reading it,
agrees.
do what I did, because I did read the whole thing. And get a text to speech. It makes it so much better.
I can roll with that.
Yeah, it's so nice because you don't have to read every single goddamn word, but you can kind of listen to it, which I really like. So.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up in the next 10 minutes. So we're gonna do lightning round, as many
Lord.
questions as we can get through.
Combat music.
I'm just gonna stick with the Discord ones. I'm sorry, YouTube chat. I have failed you.
Fail you,
But
YouTube chat.
the good news is I probably will never do this again. So, lightning round. Here we go. Cheapest McGeevis. Funniest Nat 1 or Nat 20 moment?
Funniest? When you killed like 6 kids in a row from all ones.
I didn't kill 6.
You didn't
it
kill
was
6
one.
kids. You
It
just
was one
you
kid.
just failed a bunch of arrow shots.
I would leave this to Dre.
Oh yeah, when you the giant Nat 1 himself, or somebody Nat 20 a shot into his balls and he went unconscious.
We didn't go into that story yet.
Colton natural 20 cannon blast into a pirate's face.
Yep, that was
Oh,
a
yeah,
Tesseract. That one was really
Olivia
good.
beheading her mother.
Oh yes,
Double
Olivia
crit.
beheading her mom with the Vorpal sword, natural 20
it's
twice in a row.
Especially
Jesus.
having
Beheading.
talking to
That was
Olivia.
super awesome.
That was great.
My favorite natural 1 moment has got to be I was in a West Marches game and we were fighting a Korrid. And they're the tiny little fey creatures that are kind of like dwarves that grow beards and shit. They're really powerful for being very tiny.
Yep.
And we were very underlevel to be fighting it. But my friend Owen, who I've mentioned before, hi Owen, he was DMing the game. And his rules for that game was if you rolled a natural 1, you roll your weapon damage against yourself, which is hard. And I don't do that. But the Korrid rolled a natural 1.
Oh no.
Twice in a row. So the Korrid killed itself. Because it does a shit ton of damage for
Oh
some
my
reason
god,
with an
that's
axe.
hilarious.
Just
You
destroyed
guys are
itself.
just all in the background
Okay.
like, yes.
Jacob, where did the name Doughboy come from? Cheapest McGeevis.
Everybody in the Discord made it up. It was not my choice. Somebody randomly started calling me the Pillsbury Doughboy, and then Colton and Tyler ran with it and made it a chat, and it just became a meme.
Yeah.
Great.
I had no say in it.
Love that.
He's unwilling participant in Doughboy.
This one is there's a lot of questions like why is Jacob so mean? I don't know if that's from a D&D standpoint.
I know, right?
It was a meme from the last Q&A. Everybody just talking about how mean I am.
Oh
And
yeah.
Apparently, I'm just a
it's
fucking
because
asshole.
It's because he's the DM. You know?
because he's the DM.
Yeah.
You know.
He's playing
You
many
have
characters.
to make life uncomfortable for the characters if you want them to grow.
Maybe
you know?
I'm just generally a mean person.
Maybe
No.
so.
Nah.
Sweet.
Have you played Fire Emblem Three Houses? If
Yes.
so, which is your favorite, Grace?
Blue Lions! Sort of. I like all of them, but
No.
that's the one I play the most.
I play Marth and Smash sometimes. And
Nice.
Chrome.
Jacob has this thing
All about
against...
Roy. What are you doing?
What the fuck?
Roy is
Bro?
amazing.
Chrome is my boy.
Sit down. I am the moderator of this. You may run this ship, but I am currently the captain.
Look at me.
Jack, you
I am
also-
currently playing Fire Emblem Three Houses. I haven't played through everyone's path yet.
He likes Flame the most. That
So I'm
helps.
a big Flame stan. Huge Flame stan. So I guess the Church of Seros? I do love the Red Eagles though. I just played through the first Red Eagles path, and now I'm playing through the second one. Great. Let's see. I'm trying to, find the diamonds in the rough here.
There's
no
only
offense.
2 of us.
Sorry.
There's a lot of
Why are you playing like the stressful music?
Yeah,
this doesn't
can you
make my
not?
job any easier.
I'm starting to.
Lord Ariados wants to know what we think are the most overrated and most underrated class features.
Overrated,
don't
make me do this.
underrated?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
That's
Overrated
not-
class feature.
That's not a lightning round question.
And underrated.
I don't know. Oh,
This
my
is
mind
such a
immediately
good
went to
question.
race features and not class features.
Sneak attack is overrated for doing a lot of damage.
I agree.
It does nothing in compared to a paladin's smite, or a fighter's damage and the amount of
yeah.
attacks they can do in a turn, or a wizard's fireball.
Yeah.
It is criminally underpowered.
That's what I think. I think fighters are just kind of underrated in general.
Just in
I feel
general.
like people don't really hype them up as much. But
No.
they're freaking
Yeah.
awesome.
Everybody thinks a human fighter is the most boring thing you can play, and you're a fucking dunce if
I
you
proved
believe
that wrong.
Yeah.
in
You
Immortals.
are stupid to think that a Vidalcan Artificer is more interesting than a human fighter. Go fuck yourself. Anyways, sorry, passionate.
Just in a complete deadpan.
I think Portent is such a cool ability that is not brought up a whole lot.
Never used.
Battlemaster fighters are also so
Yeah,
cool, and
yeah.
nobody uses that shit.
Divination wizards are the best wizards.
Yeah,
Fighting.
Divination wizards are
They're
so
incredible.
cool.
Bard-
Wild magic is amazing.
Bard abilities are very rarely
Oh, because
Yeah,
taken into
because-
consideration besides inspiration, but
Well,
they have some really
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, I mean-
but-
Charm
No,
is
we're not talking
cool.
about counter charm, but we're just talking about just stuff in general. They have some very
Yeah.
fun effects, but they're very often swept aside for just inspiration in general.
Yep. I think Rogue sneak attack is so overrated
Yeah.
by me. I started it.
Sneak attack.
Yeah, sneak attack. But it's just ridiculous how much damage. Rogues are overpowered in other ways besides sneak attack.
Yeah.
The fact that all of their other abilities, and I pointed out in my How to Play Rogue
Yeah.
video, where it's just like their stealth bonus just becomes
Yeah.
30 at all times.
Expertise.
Expertise, and then
Reliable
the one
talent.
ability, reliable talent, and you can just be like, I'm good at everything, and it's like
Yeah.
that's more overpowered than
Slip-
8d6 damage.
Slippery mind.
Yeah.
Proficiency in
It's
wisdom
more
saving
of
throws.
just
Which is what Atlantica just got.
Yeah.
sneak attack often snowballing because you can do it so consistently,
Yeah.
whereas with a fireball, it can go anywhere from half damage to full damage, and it's also dependent on, granted, how much you're rolling.
Stealth
but
is
once
so
again,
easily undone in comparison to like any other class's abilities.
Agreed.
You can't stop a fighter from fighting unless you take away their weapons. You
Yeah.
can't
Only-
stop a paladin from smiting, but a rogue can easily be like,
Okay,
They can see you.
Spirit.
it's only why I'll
That's-
add counter to your sneak attack.
exactly, and that's why
it's
they
amped up.
made a bunch of abilities for rogues like Swashbuckler, and people were like, this is
Shut up, I'm
overpowered.
not
It's like,
listening.
it's not, because rogues are supposed to be getting sneak attack a lot, otherwise they just suck.
I feel like Atlantica, out of like everyone in the Sunder campaign, is probably one of the weaker ones.
Yeah, Klaz does not do nearly as much damage
No.
as everybody else,
No.
but he can't be poisoned, can't be diseased, can run up
Monks
walls,
are
can catch
just
arrows,
nuts.
can do everything. So
Yeah.
like it balances out.
Yeah. I think this is actually like a Sunder question.
Oh my god, a Sunder question.
Did Tinabu
Tenevu.
Tenevu.
get put on Asmodeus' list of condemned souls?
No.
Wouldn't you like to know?
He's not. I know he's
It's
not.
a DM secret.
Turk and Fee are, though, and I feel really
Yes.
bad about it.
What are you guys' favorite Sunder moments from the Monster?
That's a really good fucking question.
We'll end on that one.
That's a good one to
last
have.
game-
Sorry guys, but we're
Last
gonna
game
end
was
on
a
that last
pretty-
question.
Last
There's a lot
game,
of great, funny
when-
questions that are asked, and I'm not going to ask. I'll let them find it in the chat. The Raid Shadow Legends one is my favorite. Anyways, so favorite Sunder moments, and then after we get into that, we'll call it an evening.
I really liked last game when we were fighting the Lich, and she cast Finger of Death on Classicer,
Yeah, she
but
cast Power
Word Kill on Classicer, but he was death warded, so it didn't do anything.
That was very
And I
fun.
was like,
Super
such
fun.
a, because like we've been getting our shit kicked in recently, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is gonna be a really hard fight. Oh God, Class
She's
is gonna die right
stupid.
now. And I had forgot you death warded him, and then it was like, it doesn't work. And it was like,
Death Ward is an
I'm
underrated
happy.
spell. I've gotten to learn.
I can't help but not love Grand Theft Atlantica.
Oh yeah,
that's
that was great.
God.
That was awesome.
that game was fun.
That game was fun.
It was horrible
You're
character.
beating the guard in the street
An
with the butt of your
emotional
gun.
wreck.
I really liked the entire time you guys were on Dis and you guys were doing the
That was
Battle
also
Royale
amazing.
and Kyria
Yeah.
came into the game. I felt like you look back and you're like, oh, this was like the height of like something, and it was just at that like in that game it was just like so it was so tense and like fun and like everybody was going crazy and it was just cool. But one of my favorite moments. Yeah, like nothing tops Olivier like fucking double critting Vorpal sorting her mom.
It's
Like
more of because we know Olivia, and there is a lot of context behind that. So
Yeah. it was really
it
cool.
was there's catharsis for her.
That entire
And that
game,
was
I think, just that the
fantastic.
season finale of season 2 was really, really epic, and it wasn't really. It was accidentally really epic,
Yeah.
and it was just. The ending was really sad too. There was one another one is spoilers is Neelix dying. That was really
Yeah.
sad. There was another time I almost cried when I played. I can't remember what it was. It was another time I was really choked up.
Choked up.
Yeah, I can't remember particularly when that was. Oh, that was it. There is. I think you were there for this.
I
Is it
I
the
was about to
stars?
I was about to say that. Yeah.
There was
Oh,
a
yeah.
part in the middle of just absolute chaos through season 3, because season 3 is just chaos after chaos after chaos after chaos, and then there's this one moment where they're in Kisai, the kitty city of Tabaxi, and they just end the game by just like looking up at the stars, and it was just I don't know. It was
Well,
just such
we
a,
all
like, a
just
soft
like
moment.
went up to the roof of like my shop.
Yeah.
I played Tiramisu. My favorite multi-class is Forge Cleric and Eldritch Knight Fighter,
Yeah.
so that I can get like a ridiculous armor class
Yeah.
and shield. But yeah, it was like we went up there because we had just figured out like what we were gonna do, and I was like, I'm probably not gonna be here, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then
Stir fry.
it was like we all went up to the top of the building and we all just like laid down on the roof and the stars. You just described the scene so beautifully, and like I had never felt more like at peace
Oh, yeah.
in a D&D game before, because I feel like a lot of D&D people focus on like the action and the
Yeah.
adventure, it's like it gets like really like high adrenaline sometimes,
Yeah.
but then like, and when you're in like a situation like you guys were in Sunder where it's like God, it's just like moment after moment, no rest. Finally you get to this moment where there's the trouble's still out there, but it hasn't caught up to you yet, and you
Yeah.
haven't found it.
You've just got
You
a
found
moment
a
to
You have a
breathe.
moment to breathe, and like that, there's so much solace in that moment.
I loved that.
And
It was great.
whatever music you used and the way that you described like the weather and like the stars being like so clear because it's so dark in the desert.
Well, it was
and
the
stuff,
desert, so like that's why it was like they could actually see them for
Yeah,
the first time in a while.
you know.
Most of the characters had
I mean,
been
they've literally been
underwater
through,
or
literally
in
literally
hell,
been through
and
hell.
all of that stuff, and they finally were.
And
able
now
to
they're just
see
like
them.
home, like in a
Oh,
safe
I
place.
love that part.
That was a wonderful moment. I was
If
about
you want
to
to go
say.
find it, it's the end of the episode, just called "The Stars." So
Yeah,
there's that. I'm
yeah.
gonna go find it. But
So you can cry.
Any last minute
You-
Sunder?
I said mine already.
Sunder
Huh?
moments?
The power word kill.
oh yeah, that was
Being
good.
yeah.
Any other Sunder moments?
For in character Kyria proposing.
Oh,
that
I love
was
that
a good
part.
I mentioned this before. He doesn't do emotions at all.
Mhm.
It's sociopathic part stuff going on.
Uh-oh.
Boogaloo, but he didn't realize he could feel a lot of emotions that he has been feeling in Sunder. So that was a culmination, and so it was catharsis for him, being able to finalize and come to terms with everything. So
I love the big emotional moments. They're my favorite.
Yeah.
They're just so
Like just
so
in
great.
all of our D&D games.
I love
I
it.
always think about the one where Ashkari fucking died. I always think
Oh
about that
my
like all the
God,
time.
yeah.
Like right when we had the Anime Beach episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where
She
we're
got
like, oh, we
sniped.
like you, we like each other, okay, cool, and then you fucking died.
Oh, it was so
do we
good.
need to explain that? I feel
And we
like
finally got to kill
Uh,
Azrael.
No,
Fuck
we
it.
don't. That's not Sunder. It's not
Yeah.
about Sunder.
I can explain it if you guys want. I'll just be forbidden lore.
The forbidden lore of
Yeah.
of ye old,
You know, actually,
of games gone by.
probably come up in the future. We'll see.
Oh,
Yeah.
Azrael or Ashkari?
Immortals, just
Oh, yeah.
Immortals.
Sure.
Oh, I'm excited. I love Immortal so much.
So good.
Oh, it's gonna be so hard. I don't know how she's changed.
Well, with that,
Hey,
guys.
thanks, guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Jack. You did
Yeah.
such a great
course.
job being our
I did my-
moderator.
I did my
Ask all the
best.
questions you were.
This is
I
why
love
he's
you,
a bard.
buddy. Thanks so much. You did
Thank
great.
you guys. Thank you.
Super
It's,
awesome.
I never hang out with you guys as much as I should. Mostly because I go to school 4 hours away.
Yeah, it's true.
Stupid. I should have.
The
I
more
should
we get to
have
know
just
you,
become a
very
D&D
good.
YouTuber as well.
Yeah.
Yes, join me.
I think my mom is trying to convince me to do that, but she's like, "Do you have to be an actor?" She's not like that. It's just like a really uncertain career field. you
Yeah.
know?
She's like
Don't
pushing.
worry.
She's pushing pamphlets for like other things.
She's like, "You could like write for D&D." I'm like, "That's harder than you think."
Yeah.
But
like mom.
I'm like, I also don't want to be an English major.
Don't do
So,
it. It's
but
actually a
anyways,
horrible
enough about
decision.
my life.
It's a horrible
Thank
decision.
you
I
all
just
for
wanna- yeah.
joining us.
Thank you for all the donations, of course.
And thank you for the very generous donations.
Yep. We will not have Tesseract tomorrow. We are still preparing some stuff for that. Logan, we're doing some special things with that one. We are
Special updates.
yeah. It's a big change, but you guys will see pretty soon. We're gonna come back to it
Hopefully
at
next
some
week.
point, and then hopefully if the render is complete, we'll have Soul March on Tuesday.
And are
So
we playing Sunder on Friday?
and we will be playing Sunder next week. Are we playing next week?
Soon as
Yeah, we'll be
next
back
week.
from Disneyland by then. So
Buddy.
go to Disneyland for
Isn't
me.
the
For
10th?
Sunder.
Ooh.
What's the 10th?
Jacob's game.
Oh,
No, it's Jordan's
fuck!
game.
I don't think we're actually playing next week.
Oh gosh, we're taking you on a roller coaster.
hang on.
this
Yeah,
evening.
because we're playing the Immortals game.
That's why I brought it up. Sorry, guys.
Shit.
Oh well.
Well, we aren't gonna be with Sunder next week, but we will the week after that.
Tune in, not next week.
Or
but the
maybe
week
we'll pre-record
after.
it. No, we can't.
I'm completely available if we need to.
Well, maybe we'll do
Unless
something.
we did
We'll
it
see.
tomorrow.
We'll let you guys know.
Right?
But thank you for
Time.
joining us for today's Q&A. Thank you. Everybody give a big, lots of love to Jack in the comments and in the chat. And we will see you guys next
Press
time.
F to pay respects.
Arcane. I gotta.
Yeah, press F to pay respects. Cal State Fullerton. Oh, they can't see it because of the screen, but
Wow.
boom.
Nice F.
Is it Friday yet?
It is.
We'll see you guys
It
later.
is Friday.
Wait, goodbye.
Bye!
Sorry.